Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mikhail. Today we're going to be talking about the VA loan. If you're watching this video, you probably are thinking about buying a house yourself using the VA loan. I just recently purchased my first ever house using the VA loan, and I want to talk a little bit about my process and experience and how to use the VA loan to buy a home. If you enjoy videos like this, you enjoy renovation and real estate, feel free to hit subscribe, and I'll take you along the journey of me buying this house with my VA loan, renovating it, and using it as a rental property in the near future. Before we dive into the steps and processes of using a VA loan to purchase your house, I want to talk a little bit about what a VA loan actually is. Ultimately, the VA loan is a mortgage that's offered in the United States by private lenders, and it's partially backed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Because it's partially backed by the US government, it comes with some phenomenal benefits and makes it one of the most competitive loans in the market for securing a house. Now, chances are, if you're watching this video, you're fully aware of this, but like the name says, VA, it references veterans. In order to qualify for this loan, you do have to either be a current service member or have been a service member in the armed forces in the US military. With that being said, you likely already are, so thank you for your service and congratulations. You're about to leverage one of the most powerful tools for purchasing a house. So the first thing we're going to dive into really quickly is the steps of securing a VA loan and using it to purchase a home. So step number one, you're actually going to want to get your certificate of eligibility from the Department of Veterans Affairs. I'm going to post a link so you know where to get that. Some lenders don't require you to have this because it's part of their process of qualifying you. But sometimes if you're going through a smaller lender, they will require you to get this certificate first, which ultimately just proves that you are ex-military or currently military and qualify for the VA loan. So step number two is going to be selecting your lender. At the end of the day, the Department of Veterans Affairs does not offer the loan directly. And so obviously it's called a VA loan, but you're going to have to go secure that mortgage through a private lender. There's countless lenders that offer this loan, and so there's a little bit of research involved in it. Most of them are going to be pretty similar, but shop around for rates, shop around for a good feel. At the end of the day, I went with Veterans United. They ended up being a very, very impressive lender for me. The rates they got me were phenomenal, the fees were low, and the loan officer was very responsive. And how responsive the loan officer has a lot to do with how great your experience is going to be. So step number three, you've done a little bit of research, you've chosen your lender, whether you went with USAA, Navy Federal, or Veterans United, or a local lender. You've chosen your lender, and step number three is going to be apply through your lender. This is a pretty easy process. Ultimately, your lender is going to have some sort of online portal. Typically, they have you upload your W-2s from the past 2 years, recent pay stubs, and some identification documents to ID yourself. The rest of it, you're just typing in, and that's going to initiate your credit check with that lender to see if you can get approved for the loan. Step number four, secure your pre-approval letter. So you've been approved, and your lender is willing to loan you the money. Now you have your pre-approval letter. That pre-approval letter is necessary before you even start your home shopping process. You're not going to be able to put in legitimate offers without putting forth some sort of pre-approval letter, especially in this market. Everyone wants to know that you actually have the money. The final step is start house hunting, okay? You've chosen your lender, you've determined the VA loan is good for you, you feel good about your loan officer, they've approved you, you have your pre-approval letter, you're fully equipped now to start hunting for a home. Most lenders have options to hook you up with realtors, like the Veterans United will ask you, where are you looking to buy a house? We have a slew of realtors, would you like us to hook you up with a realtor? You don't have to use their realtor. You can go through a friend or a family member that knows realtors in the area you're looking to purchase in, or do a little bit of research yourself and secure your own realtor. So we just talked about what the VA loan is, and we talked a little bit about the steps to securing a VA loan. So you probably wonder, yeah, but should I do it? Well, let's talk a little bit about the cons and the pros. We'll start with the cons and end on a high note talking about the pros. The first con I want to mention is that this loan is supposed to be used to purchase a primary residence. When you go through closing processes and sign documents, you will sign some documents stating that this property, this premise is going to have your name on it, and it will be lived in by you as a primary residence. It is supposed to be a loan used by veterans or service members to purchase their first ever home that they want to live in. Now, That being said, you're not locked into this home forever, and you can keep it as an investment-like property. My closing documents stipulate that I plan on living in the home for a year. After that year time is up, hit subscribe, follow me along the journey, and I'll show you what I end up doing with this house. So con number 2 I'm going to talk about, there could be some seller hesitation in this highly competitive market right now. That's just the reality of it. The VA loan typically has some misconception, there's some misinformation flowing around it that could lead sellers to be hesitant around it. Let's go with a more traditional loan. Let's go with this cash offer. Let's not even deal with a VA loan. The reality of it is that a VA loan operates from a buyer to seller perspective exactly the same as a traditional loan, and the sellers are not going to really notice any difference. Unfortunately, there is some misinformation, so prep yourself for that and know that there will be some times that sellers have a little bit of hesitation to go with a VA-based mortgage offer. The next con I want to mention is a funding fee. There is a VA loan funding fee associated with any VA loan, but at the end of the day, my VA loan funding fee ended up being less than 1% of the total cost. I ended up purchasing a $475,000 home with my VA loan, and those funding fees ended up being about $3,500. Those can get spread out into your mortgage. You don't have to pay those up front. However, that's typically how lenders will allow it to happen. This is a fee that just is money burned, right? It doesn't go towards your mortgage, unfortunately, and it's just part of using a VA loan. Before we move on to pros, I want to talk about 2 more things that could be viewed as cons, just to be transparent and lend you guys all the information you need to make an educated decision. So the first one is that there is still credit check involved with this. There can be a misconception around whether or not you need a good credit score to secure a VA loan. The answer is yes, you do need a good credit history in order to secure a VA mortgage. Now, lenders can be typically a little bit more lenient when it comes to your credit score. That being said, you will go through a credit check through your lender in order to secure a competitive mortgage. The next thing I want to mention as you move into thinking about purchasing a home is that VA lenders are only going to lend you as much money as that property appraises for. In this example, if you were to put an offer on a home for $520,000 and you go under contract with that home with an offer in for $520,000, the first thing that's going to happen is your lender is going to require you to get a VA appraisal done on that home. That home's going to end up having to get appraised. Now, if that appraisal comes back, and that is cost out of your pocket, by the way, just to put that out there while I'm on it, you will have to pay for the appraisal cost, obviously. For me, it was $600, but it varies based on the city you're in. The first thing they're going to ask you to do is get that home appraised. If that home comes back appraised at $500,000 and you're under contract for $520,000, there's a $20,000 gap there. The lender is not going to cover that gap. Sometimes you can get the seller to come down a little bit. Sometimes you're going to have to put some of your own cash into the deal to make up that gap. But in this highly competitive market, it's not too uncommon for homes to be purchased flat out for above actual appraisal costs, and that's because people have cash money that they can put against it. So keep that in mind as you move into this process. There could be scenarios in order for you to be competitive where you are going to need some cash on hand in order to have an offer move forward in the process. Let's dive into the pros. There's a lot of them. I'll try and go quickly through them so you can have a good idea of how great this option is for you when it comes to mortgages. Let's address the elephant in the room and talk about whether or not it's true. Is a down payment required with a VA loan? 100% no. That is a true fact that's going around the internet, and it's not some sort of Ponzi scheme that you end up having to have a down payment for the VA loan. You do not need a down payment for the VA loan. That being said, there's misconception. Does this mean you have to have zero cash in order to purchase a house? That's not what it means. You likely are going to need cash in order to purchase a house, regardless of the mortgage you go through. There are closing costs associated with every house. A good planning factor is 1% to 2%. It's going to be a couple $1,000s to close on a house, regardless of if you go with a VA loan or if you go with a traditional loan or FHA. There are closing costs associated with that. If you want me to lay out exactly what closing costs are, just put some comments down below and be like, what are you talking about? And I'll lay out specifically what those are and how much they were for my loan. The next pro I want to talk about is rates. If you do some quick Google searching right yourself, plus take my word for it because I experienced it myself, you'll find that VA loans have the most competitive or some of the most competitive rates when it comes to mortgages on the market. So the next pro I want to talk about is PMI being waived. The private mortgage insurance is waived on a VA loan. That is also true. Private mortgage insurance is waived on traditional loans if you have 20% equity in that loan. So if you have enough money on hand, enough cash on hand to put as a down payment on a mortgage, and it's 20% or more, you also won't have private mortgage insurance on a traditional loan. The VA loan waives that with no down payment. It's a phenomenal waive. How much money does that save you? Well, it varies based on the lender, right? But you can typically do some searching. It's going to be around anywhere from 0.8 or 0.5% up to 1.8% of PMI. So if you're looking at like a $500,000 house, it can range between $8,000 to $10,000 of PMI that you're going to be paying over time. And that's $9,000 to $10,000 of cash burned. Again, it doesn't go towards your mortgage. It's just an insurance that the bank is forcing you to have on that loan because you don't have equity in the position and the bank doesn't feel comfortable about it. The next part I want to talk about is tools that come along with a VA loan. So whether you have a traditional mortgage right now on your home, or you are sitting in a VA loan, or you are purchasing a home with a VA loan, there's a whole slew of other financial loan options that come along with being a veteran and kind of tie nicely into the whole VA loan package. One of those would be considered the interest rate reduction refinance loan. I think it's like the IRRRL. At the end of the day, what this is a phenomenal tool that allows you to refinance your loan in order to get a lower interest rate. There's also other financing options like refinance for cash out. That allows you through lenders to refinance and get the equity that you have in that house as a cash. A lot of times that gets used to update houses and stuff by people, right? I'm going to put a link below specifically to Veteran United's page just because I'm familiar with it. And I'm going to show you some of the cool other loans that come into play as a veteran and tie nicely into the VA loan package. Hopefully this video helped you out quite a bit. I wanted to dispel a lot of the kind of misconceptions around the VA loan, provide you some links below for you to do a little bit more research yourself, and also provide you a place to just ask questions as somebody that just went through this process and somebody that's going to answer the questions. A lot of times you don't have somebody that you can just turn to and ask questions to that just went through the process, and I want to be that person for as many people as I can on this YouTube video. I will say I'm not a financial advisor, but I've learned some lessons, and what I can do is pass those lessons on to you, and you can take them with a grain of salt. Here's a couple tips I want to mention before I close out this video. Number one, really find a good realtor that understands VA loans, and they're going to be able to make that VA loan look a little more competitive and give you some tips when it comes to making your offer look more competitive from a VA loan. Talk to them. They'll know all the tips from escalation clauses to when you should write letters and when you shouldn't write letters, and if it's legal to write letters, right? So talk to them about your options to make your offer more competitive, given that it's a VA loan and some people can be a little skittish. If you're curious what I specifically did, comment below and I'll answer some of the things that my realtor led me through to make my offer more competitive. The next thing is keep an eye on your debt to income ratio. The last thing you want to do is get in a position where you can't afford your mortgage, right? So when you're talking to your lender, ask them straight flat out, what's your debt to income ratio tolerance? It can be pretty high with a VA loan, sometimes as high as 40 to 45%. What the DTI is at the end of the day, it has to do with how much money is coming into your bank account versus how much you're spending on debt and payments that are going out. And then the bank looks at that and says, yeah, this person has enough money to lend this much to, and they can still make a mortgage payment. Well, the reality is they go very, very risky with that, right? And can leave you with a couple $100 a month. And you're sitting there like, oh, wow, I only have a couple $100 to buy groceries and feed my family with. So keep an eye on your debt to income ratio. I'll put a link below for a calculator on how to calculate your debt to income ratio. Now, that being said, loan rates are so low right now. If you get yourself into a solid VA mortgage with like a 2.5% interest rate, and it's a 30-year fixed loan, and it's a payment that you can effectively make, because the reality is that with these low rates and having a 30-year fixed loan, you're going to secure yourself an asset that is going to be in a phenomenal position. And as long as you're not in an uncomfortable debt to income ratio, position, you're gonna be golden from an investment standpoint, not financial advice. Hey guys, that's all I have for you today. I know there's a lot of information about VA loans out there, and some of it's misinformation, and some of it you just want to ask questions about. And if you want to peek behind the curtain even more on my specific loan, I have no issues sharing with you guys what closing costs look like, what the fees associated look like. Those can be kind of fluid things that lenders won't tell you right up until the end, because they're like, well, I don't want them to just get scared off and go talk to some other lender. So feel free to comment below if you have specific questions, or if you're going through the process right now and you're noticing something different than what I'm talking about, comment below, ask questions. If you enjoy real estate, if you enjoy renovation, and if you want to see me use my VA loan to enter into the real estate market from an investment standpoint, subscribe and turn on your notifications. Drop the like. It's going to help me build this channel, and I'm going to take you along for the ride, and you'll learn with me. With that being said, enjoy life, get out there, and I'll see you next time.